Okay. We'll call the meeting to order and confirm the appropriate meeting notices.
Yes.
Right. And approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So we have 5 in favor, 1 opposed. So the,
I
Agenda
believe it
is-
was unanimous, right?
oh, I thought somebody said they were opposed. Okay,
Just a little delayed there. I have
Oh.
bad internet.
okay, all right. Okay, so all in favor. Go on to approval of minutes from September 15th. Anybody? have
I
a
would move
cons-
approval.
Okay, second,
I'll
Second.
second that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion is passed. Public participation. Now or when anything, is anyone in attendance? Okay. All right, going on to old business. First item is one that Linda had raised, discussion and possible action regarding a request to move fire commission meetings to a different night of the week. And when we discussed this before, we had heard from the township that they were opposed to doing this. And then we talked a little bit to the city council, and we were unable to get that onto a city council agenda because the last 2 agendas were too full. They were very full. And so I did talk with the mayor and found that there were some concerns about moving that because of the schedules on a monthly basis of meetings, and that, you know, we were tied with Wednesday night with fire commission meetings and would prefer to leave it on a Wednesday night.
With some concern as well that fire staff may or may not have conflicts in a different date. That was unknown.
Anyone here from the fire commission that would, or fire department that would care to speak regarding the change?
I know that Jessica had, our association president had reached out to people from the fire department, and at that time, they said whenever the meeting was, there was no one way or the other.
Okay. Any other comments tonight?
I
Thank you for
prefer
bringing
the,
it up.
I prefer the Wednesday as well.
Okay. Linda?
I thank you for bringing it. Oh, am I, okay. I thank you for bringing it up and talking to people and finding out if it works.
Okay. All right, I think then we will take a vote on this if somebody would like to make.
I would
motion.
move that we leave the fire commission, joint fire commission schedule on its normal Wednesday of the month.
Is there a second?
A second that
Okay,
in discussion.
Motion.
So the chair always has an opportunity under unique circumstances to call a special meeting anyway. If there is a conflict that comes up.
right. Which we have done in the past, and
Tonight
tonight is
Like
Tuesday night.
tonight.
So, yes, we do ask people when we need to, if they are free, and look at calendars. So. All right, so we have, yes, let's go with
Vote.
all in favor of leaving it as
Aye.
is.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is passed. Thank you all for following through and checking on that, and Thank you, Linda, for bringing it to the table. So identification of communication with the City of Milton office personnel regarding budget services. And we did talk with the City of Milton, and they are continuing to provide the budget services. I know we raised that question the last time we met, and they will continue. At this time, we have 3 people that we're working through, primarily through Al as a communication guide, and then the 2 women that have been hired to work in the treasury positions. But then once that is sorted through and everyone learns their jobs and tasks, I believe that those will be better identified as to who's doing what and who to contact. But right now, it's all, anything that we've asked for has been completed. And Jenny, how's it working for you?
It is working, but everything's fine.
Okay. Anybody from the city have any comments? Anybody from the city here?
I am, but I have no
Okay.
comments.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, anything that we need to do, will, like I said, I think right now, Al is the front man, and beyond that, then he directs who to follow through with. But Jenny and trying to think of the other woman's name.
Kelsey,
Kelsey, are following through right away. In fact, I asked them for something today and they got it right to me. So, okay. Any
yes,
other?
I had asked him because last month we didn't get one of the financial paperwork that we usually get from Dan. So I sent the
Mhm.
sample to Kelsey and Jenny to let them know what Dan used to send out to the commission. I
Yes.
know everybody last month was kind of new there, but so I just sent them a sample of something that he had done in the past. But if I
Yeah.
have something I need at city, I usually email Jenny, and I usually carbon copy Inga on it.
Okay. Yep. And I think that's all they need to see is a sample of what we're asking for, and then they're fine.
But it is critical for the chief to know how to source some financial information as well, and what his
Right.
contracts are.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, a discussion and possible action regarding equalized value breakdowns for the 2022 city townships payments. Inga, if you want to put up the equalized value payments. Last time we met, we talked about the fact that this would be finalized sometime toward the end of September. And so we have those identified. And you can see these, and we'll be sending you a hard copy. I forgot to have asked Jenny to pass these on to you as well, but they are a little bit higher, of course, than what they were when you first had a copy a month or so ago, but not significantly once you divide them up across the 5 townships or 4 townships. 5. I guess when you add in Tebow Point, you get just a small percentage, but 5, and then the city of Milton. Does anybody have any questions about them?
Just to clarify, and I think it's obvious, but the town of Milton portion proposed in 2022 is 371,522.
Yes,
Okay.
$371,522.
And so in our budget workshops and what we're proposing to take to the electors, that's not a conflict for us. So
Okay,
that will not be a anticipated burden.
right.
I know we haven't gotten to the budget yet, and which we typically make a recommendation back to municipalities. but
Yeah,
we're there with those numbers
okay.
for us.
Good. And I think that, I think that they're not too far off from where they were last year. I mean, a little bit, obviously, it's certainly going up as always, but not significantly, I don't think. So,
Town of Johnstown has a comment. May I
okay,
speak now or?
yes.
It is significant for us. Last year it was 49,000 and it's almost 50,000. And this year you're looking at 65. So that's
Okay,
another
yes, you are correct that yours in particular went up. Yes, I apologize.
And we're in end of October and budgeting is going on. So I've got to come up with another chunk of change in order to do this.
Yeah, we just got the numbers a few weeks ago from the state. It wasn't anything we were holding on to. They don't put them out until we get that level of from the schools, and everything gets put through the state.
Right, that comes out in August, so.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. Those numbers don't come back through to the cities until the end of September. So it wasn't that we waited from August until now.
I guess we could have had a little bit more fair warning as to what this is going to be, because I'm not sure where I'm going to find the money.
We gave
Well,
you,
it's really unknown.
yes,
I mean,
Okay.
it's very difficult to anticipate. So the short explanation is this latest tweak is a result of valuations for each municipality that came current recently. So
Right.
the best numbers we had for formulas were prior. And that's what we were using in the calculations until we received the new actual valuations for each municipality. So
Yeah.
very difficult to anticipate how much they would have changed between municipalities and percentages.
But it's
Based on
pretty
that.
hard to swallow with another chunk like that.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, I didn't look at it specifically
Well, in
to,
other words, if numbers hadn't changed from what we knew best a few months ago, we wouldn't have seen this particular type of or level of change.
And really, everybody is coming up with that extra money right now. This is just what we have to do in order to fund the department. This is what we have to do for the people that work for us so that we can give them a decent wage.
okay. Any other questions regarding the equalized value changes at this time?
I'm curious, since we're talking about the effect of the recent calculations. And I don't want to go on in a big tangent conversation, but have all the contracts with the recent numbers gone out to the contract towns?
Hey, Brian, you were breaking up a little bit. Do you want to try turning off your video just for a minute and repeating what you said?
Let's see. So with the recent adjustment based on valuations, have the contract towns received new contracts with those numbers?
No, they have not, because this is the first I'm seeing the numbers.
Okay.
So
No,
they
all right.
haven't had any contract proposals?
What was that? Sorry, Brian?
They haven't received any contract proposals for next year?
They have not, no.
Okay, I just wondered where that process was.
So they will receive them in the next couple weeks, next week or so. Jenny, you'll take care of that?
Yes, I will. As long as these numbers are the correct numbers that you just had, then I can put them
They-
into the contracts.
They are. They're the final numbers now.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to vote on them to finalize them? Or do we just accept them? I don't remember if we voted on them or not.
No, I,
Could we have Inga put them back up on the screen?
Will do. 1 second.
Thanks.
I think it actually brings us to the 2022 budget actions.
Okay, can you see that again, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Teresa,
Yes.
if you are looking for a motion, I will make the motion that we accept the updated equalized value breakdowns for the 2022 in township payments.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approved. We'll move forward. Discussion and possible action regarding the 2022 budget. Now, I realize this is the first time you've seen the proposed final budget, so you do not have to accept it at this point. Again, we were going to meet to discuss it today, but then I realized that some of the people that needed to look at it and discuss it were out of town all last week. There were not, though, any significant changes. Well, I guess there were a few from last time, but the idea was that there were a couple of changes that had to be done, but had to stay, make the budget stay within the requirements from the state. You had to stay within the 3%/2% needs or requirements from the state. And we needed to go back into the budget that you had looked at in, or that we had looked at in what, August, I believe,
Yeah.
and changed the equalized value costs or budgets and move those in. And then once that got moved around, we could go back in and look at the costs of, let's see, change those amounts and then look at the costs of staffing. By changing that amount, went back in and took out the one extra position. There was an extra position that we had that was not necessarily required with the way that it would be set up. It was built into the framework, but we knew at that time that it was not necessarily required. Do you remember that discussion?
Can I just clarify? I'm sorry, Teresa, are you meaning at the administrative positions or an additional?
No. It was, when we talked about staff that, let me see if I can,
The department proposed adding a fourth full-time position.
yeah.
Well, can I ask why was that taken out?
Because we had to bring the budget back down once we took the changes with the equalized values.
Was anything else cut, taken out of the
No.
budget? Anything else changed?
No. At this time, there isn't. I know that there is concern about putting that back in. There's also been talk about possible ambulance purchase or needs. And, you know, and that was what we were going to talk about. And there are different ways to look at that. One is to submit this budget and kind of wait and see if there are other things that don't end up having to be done through the budget. Are there other things that, you know, are some of the capital expenses aren't needed as we go along, and you can go back and use this money elsewhere? Or, you know, I don't know, but yet you have to follow the regulations.
If the budget's approved, what will they have to do to go back and request the fourth full-time position? And when was the decision made to remove the fourth full-time position?
Well, like I said, it was the only way to come up with that money and stay within the guidelines of how to have. That was the one thing that was in the budget that was considered an extra. It was added in when they were talking as, let's try it as a possibility.
Well, Teresa, this is Brian. In order to not exceed the levy limits, is that an oversimplified way of putting it?
Yes.
But you are saying we can add the equalized value updates to the budget and go back.
They're already in. They're in the budget you're looking at. This is an updated budget compared to the one you have prior to this.
Was,
So,
So I
was
guess
this,
I have a question as far as on the capital side for building.
Yes.
So when we're looking at building something additionally allocated for any kind of capital improvements to the building, are there anything that we foresee as improvements needed, required by either state mandate that to get us up to, if we're neglecting in code, or if there's any other current facility needs that are not being met that we need to approve this coming year that need to be incorporated into the budget for capital? That goes out to anybody who can answer it, I guess, whether that be the chief or.
And this is Brian. I'm not aware of any that we haven't addressed. And we know that this is a temporary use of the structure in the future, but we have addressed a couple of things in the past couple or few years. I'm not aware of any personally today.
And I would defer to Chief Parker. I know there was some major upgrades here a couple of years ago with the brickwork with the structure, but Chief Parker takes care of the facilities, so he would be the one to know if there were any upgrades that we look like we may need, you know, regarding the heating system or anything like that. So I believe Jeremy should be online.
To my knowledge, as far as anything major coming up, I don't see anything. You know, our heating and cooling is fairly new. Obviously, we still have our minor issues with the roof. We fix those as they show up. And as far as the brickwork goes, I don't see anything right now, but I can't tell you if something's gonna not pop up in the future.
Totally understand that. Just if there's anything that's currently on the radar for things that are needing repair or may need repair for this next year that have we been waiting to do. Just would like to notate that now. So it's, if we can plan for it as a preventative maintenance measure, I'd rather know about it now than July and then have a $50,000 expense for some major either building or facilities needs.
Right, like I said, as far as I know, I don't think so. But as you guys are aware, the roof is always in a little bit kind of a question since we have not replaced the whole thing over the years.
So Teresa, are you suggesting tabling action on the 2022 budget?
Well, there's, it's kind of a catch 22. Each of you then are tied to it while you're planning your own budgets, because you are, if we wait until our next meeting to approve it, then you can't approve yours without this final number.
Yeah, and right now we have this number. This number works for us. That's proposed here. That's
Right.
the number that we're using that.
Right.
So we are moving forward, being able to cover the number that's proposed currently.
Right. And if you wait until the next time we have a meeting is November 17th. Now, if you want to wait until November 17th for a final fire budget,
That would create a conflict in being able to post and amend the numbers for a meeting of the electors to
Right.
authorize a levy.
right?
So the best I can say right now is these numbers work with what's in our proposed municipal budget. And that's what we're moving forward with to post our meeting of the electors.
Okay.
This works today.
May I just ask one question about, go back to the staff changing?
Yes.
Was, so when that was taken out, was our chief or our battalion chiefs in on the conversation to see if we could cut elsewhere in the budget so we would not lose getting another full-time person?
No, that was the idea of trying to meet. But, my understanding was that they were, it was an extra position that would not necessarily be a hired, that's not someone that's there already, right?
Did the commission meet and discuss this topic?
No, we're discussing it right now.
That's the problem. We haven't had an
That's the
opportunity
problem. Yeah.
to put that in relationship to the budgeting process. We haven't been able to do that.
Mhm.
Now, that
I
doesn't.
mean, I can understand. Go ahead, Brian.
That isn't to say that we can't amend the budget as we go down the road
Right,
and try to.
That's
figure that
correct.
out. So that there's no way of doing that, but
it's not as simple as just saying, okay, we decided we needed to put that person back in. It involves all kinds of changes to fit back into the formula within the state. And so it's not a simple answer.
Right, but
Well,
I'm just saying, like,
weren't involved in the conversation, and I think that's part of the problem is that in any time we're working with the budget in previous history, the chiefs are always involved is both advice and to know how the budget's going to look so they can plan accordingly and start working on their end for the next year. And so for this to be the first time of them hearing this information, I'm kind of concerned that they weren't involved or at least heard about this conversation prior to this meeting tonight. that if they're anticipating the budget they submitted to the commission for approval and review was a fourth full-time entity, a fourth full-time person, and it was cut without any notice given until tonight, I can understand that concern legitimately from their perspective. It doesn't necessarily affect me on the commission in the sense that we're talking about it tonight, but for them, trying to prep for it, huge discrepancy for them. So I do understand their point.
May I ask a question, just kind of a point of order? With the equalized value numbers that we did as a commission just adopt, are we able to accept those numbers, take them back to our municipalities, put those into our budgets to vote on, and then have a working document, a living, breathing document that can be worked with by our chiefs to then bring the actual budget back to us?
I guess is my short answer to that, Beth, Mrs. Bryan, is that that's probably not necessary, because this is really the commission's work currently. And there is not a foreseen conflict with these numbers not working with us putting together our budget, municipal budget, because we're moving forward with the meeting of the electors.
I think I understand what you're saying, Brian, but I caution us to be very clear to all of the department personnel that are on, that this is, while we are accepting this, we're not necessarily nixing that fourth position. We're not closing the door on that, because I feel that that's what they're going to hear from us tonight. And I don't want that to happen, because on paper, it may work out and it may look all legal and all the rest, but that doesn't mean that that's something that our department, the people that we're taking care of, are going to be able to work with. And so I hear what you're saying, Brian, but I'm just going to take it a step further so that they understand that that is the case.
Inga, would it be possible to put that budget figure up? I've got the preliminary one up next to it here.
Yeah, let me grab that here just a second. Can you see that budget document now?
Yeah, I guess what I wanted to point out, and I didn't know exactly what the numbers were because I was looking at the old one versus this one. If you look at what's being suggested on expenditures, about everything is being cut except wages and benefits, which go up 12.77%. What's being said here is if we decide that figure goes up, there are going to be even greater deficits in those other categories that are already bracketed. We've cut outside services, we've cut office supplies, billing expenses, pretty much down the line, cut everywhere else to try to make that 129,000 differential that is in wages and benefits. So the additional service, the additional person, if that is added back in, is going to put that roughly 13% increase one even higher, and we're going to be faced with more cuts unless we want to go into a budget that doesn't conform with the state guidelines here.
And Bill, I believe the discussion when they were initially discussing the budget, the outside services of the 50,000 cut, that was the shared services with Janesville.
Yep.
So the discussion was take that and put that towards the new, and then I think it got changed to that would go towards the interim chief position.
Yeah, it helps offset the changes that have been recommended and approved for how we deal with the administrative positions, the battalion chiefs and the singular chief.
I understand what you're saying, Bill. I'm pointing out that between Chief Pankowskis and our BCs, if they would have had discussion with it, could have looked at the other categories, because that position was very important. We're having staffing issues now, so that fourth person would have really helped out our schedule.
Yeah, I really understand, and I share, John's concern. I'm just saying, given the decisions that we've made earlier in the year, both in terms of the increased hourly and the change in the command structure for 22, we're between a rock and a hard place in terms of the dollars here. I fully understand what you're saying. It's just that we're going to have to find other places to cut. I think, Beth is correct. And it's been said that the budget could be amended later on if we wanted to and had to. But I just question where else we're going to find that we can trim in this budget the way it's set up.
Hey, folks, this is Rob Calhoun. If you have a second, I'd be more than willing. I'm with Jenny on this. How personnel is so important to keep that department running on a day-to-day basis. If it comes down to money, you can take my salary. I'll continue to do what I do on a day-to-day basis. Take my salary and put it towards the full-time people. That is what is important, is getting those people down there on a daily basis to get those trucks and those ambulances out the door.
Hey, Rob, I know your heart is where your heart is, but I think to go deeper than that, the discussion really, when we're looking at the budget and what we could do, if the discussion would have come back to the command staff at the department, there may have been a little bit more information as we go out. We're looking for a fourth full-time position, how that would benefit the department and how we could achieve that. We all know at this time with the fire inspector stepping down and what that causes, not knowing where each municipality is going in the direction after 2022. There are funds sitting in the 2% account that where do we, as a department or as an organization between the two municipalities, where do we want to see that go if the organization goes in a different direction? Those funds could be potentially used to partially fund the fourth position. And while that individual is there during the day covering, whether it's an MPO position or an officer position, whatever the command staff would want to look in at doing, they could potentially use some of that 2% fund to cover part of that position, as long as we're incorporating some fire inspections when that individual's on duty. So whether it is an individual that there as a fourth person to cover one of the full-time guys being off on vacation, one of the full-time guys calling in sick, or if we're using it as a Monday through Friday 8 to 4 position to make sure that we have somebody there to get the engine out the door and drive the engine, that individual can also serve and do some duties as a fire inspector and be out in the community doing fire inspections. And we could potentially benefit by using some of them 2% funds to do that. So there isn't that much sitting in that account.
I've got a question. In terms of the budget, what we really need to approve is the bottom line amount. We don't necessarily need to approve, the bottom line amount, the $1,402,436 shown there, apportioned as we've talked about apportioning it among the municipalities, is sort of the magic number. If we approve that amount and move forward so that all of the municipalities could act on their budgets, we'd be able to revisit the allocation within that amount of money. And we could, also incorporate the chief's suggestions or ideas for how we might, amend the budget in ways that don't affect that bottom line. So I guess what I'm suggesting is we could approve that bottom line with the understanding that we'll revisit the allocation among the budget lines. We have the authority to do that anyway, and have before made changes to the budget where we transferred dollars from one budget line to another budget line.
Well, recall that, this is Brian, we have the authority to recommend to the municipalities a 2022 budget for these services. Once it's funded, then we can formally adopt the 2022 budget.
So at this point, I guess I'm willing to make that motion to approve. I'm going to make two motions essentially. The first motion will be to approve and recommend to the municipalities approval of the 2022 budget for the Milton Township Fire Department. That'll be
Second,
one motion.
second,
You add the
So-
amount in there, John?
Yeah,
I'm going to have to get the amount because I'm not sure the one that's in front of me is correct. So what is the most up-to-date document to have for the bottom line? Because what I'm seeing here is,
1,402,436.
okay, yeah, I got
Oh, wait.
1440. Okay,
1416.
I got one,
1,416. Yeah.
okay,
053.
yep, that'll be my number right there. It's pretty fine print, I can't read it. 1416353.
And you have younger eyes than I do.
It's like 1 point font.
So that motion is a recommendation to the municipality.
It is a recommendation to the municipalities for approval of the 2022 fire department budget.
seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
My
And you had a
second
second
motion,
one?
Madam Chair, is going to be to recommend that the fire department officers and staff work with the city doing the books to see if they can accommodate a fourth person, full-time employee firefighter EMS, and recommend to the fire commission any alterations within the budget to be within the underlying dollar amount that was just approved.
Second.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passed.
So I guess that would be directed either at Chief Pankowskis in conjunction with Chief Parker and any of the battalion chiefs to work together and try to resolve that staffing shortage personnel issue. Working within the dollar amount, if you believe it's feasible to use 2% funds for paramedic EMS in conjunction with fire. From my prior experience, there's a little bit of gray area with that, but if you can make that work and it does not in fact violate any of the principles, then I'm totally down for that. So
Thanks, John. We'll work on that.
sounds good. Thanks, guys. Hopefully that kind of alleviates a little bit there so we can get that figured out.
Okay. Okay, the next item is discussion and possible action regarding extending Jeremy Parker and Rob Calhoun's contracts by 2 months, which would be November and December 2021. And this would be to accommodate, we discussed this last time, but we needed to look into budget issues. This would be to accommodate Jeremy's time with the chief prior to assuming his role January 1, 2022. And so we've talked with Jeremy, and Jeremy's talked with Rob. Rob will pick up Jeremy's part of the role that he is currently fulfilling. And then Jeremy will work with the chief, and we will have a job description or job expectations of things that he will be expected to go through to learn over the next 2 months, and then work on a job description as preparing that to begin January 1. Any questions about that before we make a motion? Any discussion?
Where
So
was the money coming out of the budget for these extensions? Do we have available funds?
Yes, there was, I don't have the,
we have some discussion about that coming from reserve funds.
yes,
What was the
Yeah.
discussion?
I don't have the other budget in front of me. But yes, it was reserve funds, and it was, a relatively, Jeremy actually figured out it ended up being Jeremy, do you have the,
It's approximately $7,500 that we'd have to approve.
yeah, it was a relatively small amount, so, okay.
And make a
Any,
motion to do just that, use reserve funds to extend the contract by 2 months for a transition period.
I would second.
any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, and we'll work through the chief to get that set up. All right. New business. All right, this was an issue brought to our attention recently, a discussion, possible action regarding requests for health care for part-time fire service personnel. And both the chief and I had spent time discussing this with legal services, and I'll let the chief talk about what he has found out, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Teresa. I'll ask Jeremy to kind of fill in here too as we go. But just as a little background, in discussion, Chief Pickering from Edgerton had contacted the 3 battalion chiefs from Milton just to sit down and have a discussion with them. There was a question that came up regarding if the 2 municipalities join Edgerton, what will happen with the personnel from the Milton Fire Department? It was explained to the 3 of them, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, that anybody that's on the Milton Fire Department now would have to apply for Edgerton, and that the Milton Fire Department would have to dissolve itself. So the concern for Edgerton was the way the Milton Fire Department pays their part-time personnel, and that they're violating FLSA. So it was brought to my attention. I looked into it, and everything that we found regarding FLSA and the way Milton is paying out its part-time employees, we're following FLSA. So anytime a part-time employee works over the 53 hours in a week, they get paid overtime. If they work over the 1,200 hours in a year, they are paid into WRS. So there wasn't anything that we found FLSA that we could see that the department was doing wrong. So as we looked into it more, it came up regarding benefits. So the department does not pay benefits to the part-time employees. So as we looked into it, the only thing that at the time we could see was the Affordable Care Act states anybody that works over 30 hours or 30 hours a week or 130 hours a month is supposed to be offered a reasonable health care package. As we dug in deeper, that only counts if the employer has more than 50 full-time equivalents, which the Milton Fire Department and Town of Milton Fire Department doesn't. So there wasn't anything that we found regarding the need to pay a part-time employee if they work over a certain number of hours that we have to offer them benefits. So there really hadn't been any of the members that have come forward and had requested the benefits, but the question came up and it was discussed with the battalion chiefs that we were in violation of not offering benefits to the full-time or to the part-time employees, which in my discussion with BC Lucas was there's about 10 part-time employees that work in Milton that may go over this 30-hour a week or 130 hour or 30-hour, yes, 30-hour week and 130 hours in a month. So I had reached out to our labor law attorney for the city of Janesville and just kind of questioned to him, because now that it's brought to my attention, if we are in violation, we have to correct that. And I didn't want to put the commission in a spot or put myself in a spot that we were in violation of anything that says we have to offer benefits. So there wasn't anything that the labor law attorney that the city uses that says that if you work over this said number of hours that you have to offer benefits. So I had reached out to Teresa to inform her of the concern that came to us. She reached out to your guys' attorney, which in turn had given me a call, and there wasn't anything that she had found that states that there's a said number of hours that a part-time employee works that you have to offer them benefits. She says there are employers that have full-time equivalents that work over said numbers of hours and that the employer doesn't offer them benefits because whether it is a hardship that they can't afford to offer them benefits. So at this time, between the city's labor law attorney, the commission's attorney, there isn't anything that we find that says that these benefits have to be offered. Nobody has officially come forward as a part-time employee and requested these benefits. I had reached out to Chief Pickering over a week ago now to ask him where he has found his information that we have to offer benefits if we work over a certain number of hours, and Chief Pickering has not called me back yet, so I haven't been able to get the information from them. So if that conversation between Chief Pickering and the at least 2 battalion chiefs from Milton is any different, I will let you discuss that, Jeremy.
No, that's exactly how it went. And I haven't heard anything back from him either, so.
So my conversation with Teresa was just a notification that it was brought to our attention as the command staff that we're potentially violating some law that states that you have to offer benefits to part-time employees if they work over a said number of hours. I looked up under the Wisconsin Office of the Commissioner of Insurance, and I wasn't able to find anything there either that says if a part-time employee reaches the hours of a full-time equivalent that you have to offer insurance. So at this point, without knowing where Chief Pickering found his information, I don't have anything further that states that the Milton and Town of Milton Fire Department has to offer benefits to a part-time employee that reaches the full-time equivalent hours.
Thank you for looking into that. That's, sounds like a lot of mud in the water, but it sounds like you cleared most of that up. So,
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So my question for you folks is, are we able to continue to staff the way we have been from here until into the future? Are you guys comfortable with that?
I think for now, until we find a long-term transition of services, I think this will be brought up again, but
Can you say that again?
So what Jeremy's referring to is when we were in doubt if we were violating anything, the part-time employees were told that they have to hold to the 30 hours a week or 130 hours in a month.
Mhm. All right,
Seeing that we have not found anything, is the commission comfortable with, as long as we are following the FLSA and paying overtime over the 53 hours in a week, is the commission okay with us allowing part-time employees to work over the 30 or 130 hours that they know that they're not going to receive benefits if they work over that set amount?
yep,
Ah,
sure am.
anybody?
Thank you.
All right,
yes,
all right.
Green light.
Okay, we will leave it up to you then to bring it to our attention, then if there are any concerns or changes.
We will do
Jeremy?
that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, fire chief's report.
Jeremy, I will let you take the report on our calls and our training. Are you still there, Jeremy?
Also, if I unmute myself.
Okay.
All right. Last month, we had 106 calls. Again, another very busy month, and we are on track this month for the same thing. Training wise, department wide, we covered ladders and fire behavior. Crew training covered brush truck operations and equipment, and for EMS, we covered pediatric emergencies. And that's all I have for a chief's report at this time.
So then the only thing I really have to add is this past month, I have worked with the 3 BCs to draft a job description for the interim chief position, which I will be forwarding to Teresa for her review, and then we can meet on that.
I had a question for Jeremy in terms of the call volume. What was the most number of calls in a day? It works out about 3.5 per day in terms of the month, but what was the top number?
I believe a month or so ago, we had a number of around, I think 12 or 14 calls in one day. So we were very busy. We were helping, I think, multiple fire departments that day as well. That's why I think our number is so high.
I think that's an important number for us to keep in mind in terms of, why we're moving forward on something that provides us with greater coverage. As commend the folks. We're really at a breaking point.
All right, president's report.
Jess is not on tonight, but she did text me that the association hasn't met, so we have nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Thank you. General items.
I have a general item. I am a little concerned about our battalion chiefs getting information of what the commission is doing as far as our plans and the steps that we've taken. I just feel like I want to make sure that we are being transparent, not only to our community, but also to our battalion chiefs and all of the other department people that we have. There's a big competition out there and we have some really good people, and I think that we just, when a question that I might have for everybody tonight is, when was the last time you went down to the fire station and just walked in and said, my name is, I'm on the commission. I mean, we need to be sure that we're supporting our people in the department. It's very difficult times all the way around for everybody.
Yeah, I think I do agree with you. I also think there's some awkwardness. I know that I feel it, and perhaps other people do too, with regard to the pandemic, and wondering if we should even be there. We don't want to, I don't want to make anyone ill by being there. They have to be healthy and do what they do. I'm not sure that I want to bring anything in. Do they want anyone there? I'm not sure. And perhaps they can answer that for us.
I don't think it'd be an issue if somebody wanted to step down at the fire station. We're all wearing masks. I think we're pretty safe. So I don't see why it'd be an issue if somebody wanted to visit, that's for sure.
Okay.
I hope you're feeling better, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you. I don't wish this on anybody. The version that I got was pretty rough.
Yeah. It's not fun. Any other comments? Okay. Well, our next scheduled meeting is November 19th or 17th. And, if we decide to schedule something in the interim to discuss the budget, we will get a hold of everyone.
I will be out of town for 2 weeks during November. I'm out of town the 4th through the 18th. So the 17th in particular will be a challenge for me to be able to participate.
Okay.
Again, the day before I come back.
All right. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.